There's something I think even more significant, Malcolm, that happened in Lebanon. Did you see the deal?
Between the United States, Israel, and Lebanon? The one
Yeah.
that, have they come to an agreement?
They have, and they signed it, and the full text, they did. About 2 hours ago, they signed it, and the full text just came out. The White House apparently released it, came out while we're speaking. So Hezbollah doesn't seem happy. They put out a statement saying the MP said we're not going to give up our weapons, and that could lead to civil war. And an important Israeli TV presenter said the goal of the Israelis is to cause division within Lebanon and cause civil war. He literally said that a couple of hours ago. Complete freaking idiot. And there's people on the streets, Hezbollah supporters on the streets protesting against it. I've got the full. I've got the full. Stephanie, you can show the protests on the screen as well while I read the statement from the deal. End the conflict. So there's 14 points. End the conflict and formally work towards ending the state of war. 1. 2. Israel will withdraw from Lebanon in phases as security conditions are met. 3. The Lebanese armed forces will gradually assume control of the security across the country. 4. So that's essentially saying that they'll take power away from Hezbollah. 4. Well, Hezbollah.
They'll fill in for UNIFIL.
They'll try. 4. Hezbollah and all other, yes, a good important context there. Hezbollah and all other non-state armed groups must be completely and verifiably disarmed. That's my point number 4. 5. Israel has no territorial ambitions in Lebanon and will leave once security threats are removed. 6. Lebanon reaffirms that only the Lebanese state has the authority to wage war and maintain armed forces. 7. A US-backed military coordination and verification mechanism will oversee implementation of the agreement. 8. Both sides commit to a sovereign, secure Lebanon free of armed groups and threatening either country. 9. The US will support and strengthen the Lebanese armed forces with assistance tied to a verified progress. That's a good point. 10. The US will coordinate international reconstruction, humanitarian aid, and economic recovery for Lebanon. 11. Lebanon and the US will prevent funds and reconstruction assistance from reaching Hezbollah or other armed groups. 12. Israel and Lebanon will establish working groups to negotiate a comprehensive peace and security agreement. 13. Both sides will cease hostile political and legal actions and cooperate on the return of detainees and human remains. 14. Israel and Lebanon acknowledge the U.S. role in the agreement and express appreciation for Trump's leadership.
Oh, Jesus Christ, help me. Okay, full disclosure. As those of you who have been watching you and I on this show know, I spent a lot of time in Lebanon. I'm going to tell you straight up, that's an awesome deal between the leader of Lebanon, Hania, right?
On. The new guy.
Aoun.
Yeah.
Right, Aoun. By the way, his dad. They were all, Michel Aoun was his father, right? When I was 20 years old, he was one of the leaders of Lebanon. I mean, that country, the same 4 families run everything, right?
Yeah. No, so he's different. No, just quickly, he's also his same last name, but different family. So not related to the old President On. Not from the. So the On you're talking about, which the politics really in depth. He's been around for decades and decades. He's in the 80s now. The new guy is a general that was in the military, but not related. I thought they were related as well.
Boom. Okay, great. Works for me. Doesn't matter. Okay? This is a deal between Trump, the Israeli negotiators, and that guy. None of that speaks for Lebanon. Because the hard reality of Lebanon, I mean, who's the Hezbollah MP is Hassan Fadlallah, right? Whose father used to be the leader of Hezbollah, right? So this deal is unenforceable. It is a fantasy document drafted up by Washington and the Israelis. It essentially says Israel can occupy Lebanon as long as it wants, because the phrases that they were using in there are diplomatic speak for until Israel is satisfied that their security conditions are met to their satisfaction, you don't have to withdraw. Additionally, that the Lebanese army was going to be equipped. I was talking about that on my show today. The main battle tanks of the Lebanese army to do combat against Hezbollah are the same battle tanks that existed during the Lebanese Civil War. These weapons, the T-55, I remember when they were fighting, the Lebanese army was fighting ISIS up in Tripoli in northern Lebanon about 10 years ago. And they were using ancient-ass Syrian army T-55s. These are museum pieces. You can buy a T-55 on the open market on eBay. I'm not joking. And then they had the American M48 Patton and the American M60. These tanks are Vietnam War vintage. And the only things they have now are they got a whole squadron of like 20 or 30 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles. But to fight Hezbollah, they could wipe out the entirety of the Lebanese armor assault force with drones in 10 minutes, dropping hand grenades, not even doing strike FPV drones. These guys have been fighting Israel for decades. Their combat depth of knowledge is deep. It is a fantasy. I knew the Americans were going to say that. We're going to send over our American, what do we call it? Our not expeditionary assistance brigade members who will come there and start training up the Lebanese army, and we're going to start giving them more Bradleys and things over the next few months. But there's nothing the Lebanese army can do about Hezbollah. No one is disarming Hezbollah. This is just intelligence fact, right? They are too well armed. They are too well entrenched. They are too big. And if the Lebanese army could have disarmed them, they would have attempted it. They can't. And
unless Iran gives the go ahead, which they won't.
Are you crazy? Iran is not viewing people as proxies. Remember, the word is co-religionist. They are not going to abandon other Shia Muslims at the direction of Donald J. Trump in a document that thanks Trump at the end, which is a little cray-cray, right? Hezbollah is going to be a hard rock, in an unmovable object, in a hard place. I just don't understand this. Does this mean that combat has to keep continuing? No, this is where Iran could actually help. They should, if they were smart, tell Hezbollah to stop attacking Israel, right? Give Israel, let Hezbollah have the Lebanese army as a buffer force to actually say, okay, now Israel, you withdraw. Now, of course, that works out for Hezbollah in the long run. They can rearm, they can refuel, they can train new guys. Everybody can go to Drone Academy, right? They can start bringing in millions of Chinese drones. And the Lebanese look like they have some measure of control. But now that UNIFIL, United Nations forces in Lebanon, have gone, there is no European allied force that is going to step in right now. And as part of this deal, not the deal, but in the run-up to the deal, the Lebanese army made some things very, very, very clear. When the Israelis assassinated their senior commander about a month ago, after meeting with the Israelis, 100 meters from where he met the Israelis put a Hellfire missile into his ass because they probably saw him as the kind of guy that wasn't going to acquiesce. The Lebanese army has made it clear yesterday they will not enter any village ever that the Israelis are in because the Israelis use your presence and their presence at the same time to kill you. Right? The Lebanese know their neighbors. So Hezbollah is the predominant fighting force in Lebanon. But the statement from Fadlallah about this is a document designed to incite a Lebanese civil war. Mario, how many times have we spoken about the preferred Israeli outcome in Lebanon is civil war? Because it would remove Hezbollah from the map. If they're fighting the Druze, they're fighting the Christians, they're fighting, the other secular groups up there, the Alawites.
Funny, but they're just talking about civil war. There's shooting. There's reports of fire in Dahi right now of gunfire.
Yeah, but that's
I'm not
just
saying
them.
it's and the iron.